So that's my
Right on.
gratitude.
Right on. Well done. All right. Let me get our technology going here. Do, 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 do. All right. So it's Friday. It's Feature Friday. And we love to bring some of the best out there. And I'm super excited
Oh,
yeah, right. No, today's all about pressure, right?
uh, uh,
And so here's the thing, Ramil, don't make me a liar. Not any time for you to over deliver. Right. So this is super fun. Some of you may recognize Ramil from the calls from R3 coming in. Michelle introduced Ramil to our group way back. Gosh, what was it? January?
January. Yep.
Excuse me. Pardon me. I've got something happening here. And so I'm going to let Ramil introduce himself, tell us how he got into the biz, give us his quick update as to how he got to where he's at today, and then really how he and I got started working together, and then what his results were in the last 7 days since we started coaching, which was super. When we went over the numbers, I was like, okay, all right, you get to tell everybody about it because they're not going to believe me. So
Yeah.
kick it off, Ramil. Who are
All
you,
right.
man? Who even
Yeah.
are you?
I'm in Iowa. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I know obviously some people in here from Iowa as well. I don't know where this all expands to, but yeah, so I'm in Iowa, uh, Des Moines. I'll just say Des Moines, but I live in a suburb of Iowa. But yeah, so I got into real estate March of 2022. I got licensed. I was doing corrections at the time. So I was a correction officer, did it for about 4 years at that point. Working overnights, love the job, but working overnight sucks. At that point, I thought I was going to retire there. I have a wife and kids. Started realizing like, hey, like this is not what I want to do. I'm missing out on holidays, birthdays, everything. No opportunity for advancement. Just it was just a bad deal. So then I started looking into other avenues. Things that were important to me was I wanted control of my time. Obviously, like I said, I have a family. We have an ideal, life that we wanted to create, and I
Mhm.
wanted to be part of that. So I wanted
Right
to,
on.
whatever I did next, I wanted to make sure I had control of that. Um, the other thing that was important was I wanted to be able to control my income, right? The effort that I put in. I love the idea that the effort that I put in, I'd be able to see out of it. And that it wasn't possible at normal jobs. You could work as hard as you want, but they're going to pay you whatever they're going to pay you, and that's just the end of it. And so once I put those two together, with some other, situations that happened in there, I stumbled upon real estate. I have a good friend that was in real estate. He was about a year in at the time. Saw he was doing some cool stuff and just had a conversation with him. Literally the next day, I met with his team lead. And then the day after that, I signed up for classes. So it was just boom, boom, boom. Um, so joined the team, got licensed. I worked both jobs for about 2 weeks and decided that, working overnight and trying to do real estate during the day is not going to work. So I put in my 2 weeks and, jumped in head first. So April of 2022 to the end was my first year. And then this is the start of my second full-time year. Um, I've had good luck, being on a team, I think helped me a lot. Especially the reason why I'm here today. My team lead got his success on making calls, the PPC leads off Google. And so that's really all I was doing, from the very beginning. It was very hard to make calls, very nerve-wracking. I had to pump myself up just to make the first call, and oftentimes it didn't even answer. So it was just
Okay.
a waste of time. But it's
So
just like,
so when you got started, it wasn't like supernatural, super easy
oh
for you.
no, not at all. I mean, I probably spent 5 to 10 minutes pumping myself up to dial the first number, um, just to make the call. And it's all, I mean, we all know how it is. There's irrational fears, right? We just
Yeah.
fear things that aren't really there.
Yeah.
Is someone going to yell at me, cuss at me? Am I wasting their time?
Yeah.
Just a bunch of different things. And even to this day, calls are still my main source of business, which I'm working on changing, but none of those fears have actually come true, like any of them. Um, and so, but yeah, it was hard. And like I said, it's just something that you commit to doing every day, and you just get better and better. And it's weird how it works because you really don't realize like how good you're getting until like you kind of take a step back and look. like, okay, this is where I started from. Like now I'm able, like now I can just jump on a call whenever. I get leads during the day. It doesn't matter if I'm out at lunch, like I'm calling that person, to see what's up. So um it's crazy just to see how that changes,
And
practice.
you're only 2 years in.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
for
which is
you.
flown by the way. It's crazy how fast, years fly by.
So how many transactions you did your first year? So you were part-time for a few months and then
Yeah.
went full-time.
So the first year from April to December, I did 9.
Okay.
Um, Last year I did 19. This year my goal is to hit 40. I've closed 12 so far this year.
Right. And right now we're on track to crush that. So
Yeah.
heads up. All right.
Yeah.
And then so you got introduced to us with R3,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Michelle, yeah, long story short, I started actually at the brokerage that Michelle was at. We switched right after I joined to a different brokerage, and then last year of November we switched back to where they were. So I had known Michelle a little bit. Once we switched back, we really got connected and close and started talking more. Obviously, she was connected with you, um, posting your stuff. I think she was doing coaching with you at this time too. She told me about the R3, and I'm one of the things that I've always made sure to do was take advantage of all the free stuff that gets thrown my way. Like if I feel like it can make me better in some little way, like I'm doing it. And so that was R3. She told me about it, checked it out. Definitely worth you know every second of it. So if it comes up again, definitely do it, you guys, if you haven't already.
So let me qualify that real quick because there's a very specific distinction that I want to make sure people get. Like what you said is important, right? Anything that's free, you always work to take advantage of. But here's the thing, you don't just show up and absorb it, right?
Right.
When you come, like you took action, you did
Yeah.
the work. There's a lot of people that come to classes and they think that just by being in class, they're gonna like receive this osmosis of like knowledge.
Yeah.
You don't actually learn the lesson until you put it into practice, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, definitely come to learn. There's a lot of free stuff out there, but again, I wanted to make sure that it was stuff that I knew aligned with how I either wanted to grow in my business or get better as an agent or a person. So, um, yeah, R3 aligned with that. So I did that. Definitely worth it.
Cool.
Um, so yep, heard Matt and Dustin talk through that. And yeah, since then, I mean, we've been connected. It's been that happened in January, so it's been a few months. I've been looking for coaches for I would probably say the last 6 or 7 months. Interviewed a few people, talked to people, and whatever it was, when I heard Matt in R3, like we just clicked everything about it. And last week, I decided, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago, decided.
Well, we did the event up in Des Moines.
Oh
Michelle.
yeah, yeah, you did the levered agent event. Yep.
Yeah.
So they put on the event here in Des Moines. Again, I already knew what they were about from R3, so I was like, let's go get a double dose. Signed up for that. Again, awesome event. Still soaked in everything, and that was really the pushing point where I was like, okay, I'm at a point in my business, where I can hire a coach as necessary. I finally met Matt in person. Everything checks out. He's the same person that he is on the computer. And so yeah, I was like, this is it. Like I'm going for it. Let's do it.
That's funny. All
Yeah.
right. So let's fast forward now. So we jump on, we do our first call last week. It was last
Yeah.
week on, was it Monday, Tuesday? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yep.
Wednesday. Yep. So jump on the first call. First call obviously is just kind of going over where I'm at. To get down to the calls, we talked about how many leads I have. Again, this is a big part of my business since I've been in. And we learned that I have about 1,200 leads that have been shifted back and forth, between CRMs and are now just sitting in a pool. Literally just 1,200 people sitting there. I don't know where they're at because notes didn't get transferred between CRMs. It's just a big mess.
So you
Uh,
basically have a phone book of
yeah,
just names and no
yeah,
context.
exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So like to clarify, these aren't like smoking hot Zillow transfer handoff like everyone wants, the smoking hot, the
Right.
hot
No.
leads, give me the good stuff. You're like, I got a pond of 1200s, who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Plus,
These are leads that at one point when they came in, I had had a conversation with them. We'd had a good enough conversation that they were going to be doing real estate within, some point in the future. And so I put them into initially a nurture bucket, right? So our first CRM, that would have been, they would have set up on a drip campaign. I contact them, every so often, whatever my plan was then, until they're ready. Within switching CRMs, we switched from Follow Boss to KV Core. Notes didn't get transferred. So right when that happened, I had no clue where these people were at. No way to go back and check and Follow Boss to see where they were at, to categorize them again, and they essentially just became new leads. And to me, just 1,200 people plopped in your lap like that, pretty overwhelming. Especially with no plan to get through them. And so that's why they've sat there for 2 or 3 months. So yeah, figured this out. Matt was like, first things first, we need to get through those, right? Like, he's a numbers guy, which I'm not. That's one of my faults, which is why I wanted to do, coaching and get with someone like that. So we broke down numbers, and based on those numbers, he's like, there has to be business in these, like, there's no way there's not business in there, right? So he said, your goal for this week is to get through those leads, right? I want you to start getting through those. And initially he said, the numbers he said was like, basically I could get through them by the end of the year. And for me, I'm like, I want this process accelerated. I don't want to go through these 1,200 leads. Like, I've called more people than that, weekly. Like, I know I can get through these leads. So I was like, I'm going to go through half, around half this first, week. So that ended up being 500. And it's as simple as, just breaking it down. 500 leads. We broke it down to 100 a day if I just want to do Monday through Friday. If I wanted to do, Sunday to Sunday, it would have been like 72 leads or something like that a day. Very easy to do. Especially for me, like, because I've called, and that's just not a lot of leads to call.
Some people on this call have not called 72 leads in the entire real estate career. Heads up. I'm just saying. Full transparency.
Yeah. So yeah, just broke it down very simply where it made sense in my mind. I knew I could do it, and it's just all about doing it. Again, one of the big things that I've done since I've been in the business is call, and my team lead at the time, I'm a solo agent now. But my team lead, we just had dedicated hours where we called. It was important. At that time, it was about 2 hours a day. He wanted us to be on the phones, making those calls, prospecting. So again, it's not anything that is not new to me, right? I'm used to blocking off that time, dedicating that time at some point in the day to calling. My call times are usually from 11 to 1. So I had a game plan, knew the numbers, and that's what I did. And I actually did it less. The first day that I called, which was Thursday after coaching, I had a busy schedule, was packed up, but I still made time. I'm going to get through as many as I can. It actually ended up being 58 leads. So called those 58 leads. Now, out of those 58, I got 8 total pieces of business. And this is when I text Matt. So seven of those were people that, talk to. They're still looking to do something, like set me up on a search, like, let's go. The 8th person was a total fluke, but I ended up turning it into business. Long story short, she lives in Washington. There's a Des Moines, Washington. I live in Des Moines, Iowa. Our hair's got, and she ended up in my lead bucket. So I talked to her, for probably 20 minutes, and just, getting to know each other, building that relationship. And she kept talking about Washington. And I'm like, she's like, I have 2 properties to sell in Washington. My dad's looking for a house in California. And I'm like, that is awesome. But where does Iowa come into this? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm in Iowa. Like, what? Like, I don't understand how Iowa came into this. And so I'm like, where are those houses at? And so she names a town in Washington, and the second one was in Des Moines, Washington. And I'm like, okay, like, that's where our wires crossed. Des Moines, Washington, Des Moines, Iowa. Like, we're not supposed to be talking to each other. And she's like, oh, so that means you can't help me? And at that moment, I was like, okay, like, I've got this, like, the relationship's good, like, I've done my job, like, she's in. And I'm like, what? I'm not licensed in Washington. Like, I can't really be your agent. What I can do, though, I work for Remax. We have a wide web. I can find you some agents, to represent you, good agents, and I can get a referral off of that. And after having that 20-minute conversation with her, she was set with wanting me to be involved, in some capacity.
Yeah.
So she's all on board. So my 8th piece of business there was 2 referrals that I'm going to have in Washington. Text Matt, and I was like, hey, 58 calls in, 8 pieces of business. Like, This is
So what were
awesome.
you thinking at that time? So one day in, we just started, and then you go, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah. One, I was grateful. Making calls and letting leads sit, things happen. People go with other agents if you don't follow up,
Mhm.
you know. There's just tons of things that can happen. So I was just happy that there was still business that I didn't miss out on. And then again, it was just simple as realizing that every lead is valuable, whether it's a year down the line, 6 months. Like a lot of people get into the industry and they want those quick leads. And that is awesome. And I hope for quick leads too. But I also know that I plan on being in the business years down the road. So if I have someone that I know I can count on a year down the road and all I have to do is follow up with them, then that's comforting for me knowing that I have those people.
Yeah.
Um, so the aha was really just like every lead is so valuable. Stay in contact with them, even if it's just minimally, but you're paying for these leads in some capacity. You get your money's worth out of them. Like it'll come back to you if you put your follow up with them.
So let's give everybody the breakdown of what the entire week ended up looking like, and then let's talk about how you did it. Like, let's get into the specifics of the conversations.
So I continued the next day. I actually obviously had to catch up. So I did my 30 extra leads and then my 100 on top of that. Um, or 40 actually, since I
Did you
didn't
guys
miss.
catch that? He didn't wait to the end of the week and go, well, Thursday was busy. I got like 440 because he had
Yeah,
self accountability, self leadership to self correct. Like, I'm not going to show up and wake you up and pull you out of bed.
right.
No coach will. And if you're pointing at somebody else because you're not doing your own work, quit. Like, seriously, like, I can't help you.
Yeah. So yeah, like I knew I had to catch up on those leads. So the next day I did the 140 and just followed. And it's not all glamorous. I did end up the end breakout numbers from the 500 was I ended up with about 20 people that were ready to go, set me up on a search. Like if we find the house, we're ready to go. There's about 45 people that we're looking to do at least a piece of real estate, in the next year. Um, Keep an eye out for us, stay in contact with us. We'll use you when we're ready. So 60 plus pieces of business, awesome to have, good to have in the back pocket.
1 week.
1 week.
And you said it
Um,
was about 90 minutes a day.
yeah, I did about an hour and a half. Spring season is picking up. Like I have other stuff to do. I dedicated about an hour and a half a day to doing those. Um, and there's still work to be done. Like these people are not, secured. It's not definite money that's coming my way. I still have to do the work and, nurture these people, talk to them, stay in front of them, find them the houses.
Yeah.
But it's security knowing that I have that business coming and I'm only through half. And even within that half, there was probably another good 60, maybe 70 people that I didn't even talk to that I'm just planning on calling again. Right.
Nice.
Um, and so of the 500, a majority of the people, um, you know, I either didn't talk to or they weren't planning on doing something else. Like there were people in there that bought houses, were people in there that just weren't ready right now. So it's a mixed bag. But the important piece again is the business that I did get from it that is just sitting there at that time, just wasting away.
Now, many of you that are listening to Ramil are just like how Ramil was before we got started in this conversation. And I said, all right, you got 1,200 leads to call. And Ramil's like, well, what am I supposed to say? Like, I don't even know where they are, what they're doing. Like, so how many of you are like, well, what do I even say to these unknown leads? Talk a little bit more about that and then what we came up with.
Yeah. So my initial approach was another reason why it was overwhelming for me was, I had talked to these people before. I haven't talked to them in months now. My another irrational fear, do these people remember me? Am I just going to be some weird guy calling them again? Like I didn't want to necessarily call and you know try to navigate that conversation. Most of my conversations are routine, like I know where the conversation is going, like it's very easy. This one I would have definitely had to
We
think a
call
little.
those scripts. We call
Yeah,
those scripts. Yeah.
scripted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I would have had to think a little more about talking to these people, and I know it would have made me, less confident, and I didn't feel good doing that. Matt simply broke it down easily and was like, treat him as a new lead. Call him. Don't even, mention the time that, you had talked to them last year. just call them, say, hey, you were looking at my site. I'm updating my files. How is everything going? Where are you at in your search? Simple as that. Another light bulb moment. I'm like, that is awesome, right? And that's literally all I did. Every conversation I would call, hey, this is Ramil with Remax. How you doing? Good. Hey, I saw that you were on my site. I'm looking to update my files. Just want to know where you're at in your home search. Conversation went from there, natural like always, and just
But
navigate.
Ramil, it's got to be more complicated and fancy than that. That's too easy. That's too simple. You can't be that easy. It can't
Right,
be that simple.
right. No, that's literally all it is. There's objections in
But
there,
but
just like
but but no, go. Sorry. I'm
yeah,
just
there's always going to be objections. Those objections are just opportunities to further the conversation, prove your value more. And so yeah, getting past objections, you're always going to have that if you're making calls. And so, like I said, it was back into that. Once I knew my introduction and how I was going to approach it, it was just finding my way back to that path where I knew I can get on my script and do what I do.
we got 5 6 minutes left here. I want to open it up for anybody that may have some questions for you. So I know that you're this testimony, this example. So look, your results may vary, right? However, uh, ask away. Like, here's an opportunity for you to check in and ask for a meal. Anything you're interested in.
First of all, Ramil, I want to go to coffee with you. This is Angela.
Let's do it.
And we live really close by.
Yeah,
Um, um,
I'm open.
I have, people in my database just, that I haven't talked to in years, which is
Mhm.
embarrassing. And some of them have already bought. I'm like, I love that script. I'm wondering if I could, say something like, hey, I either know you from an open house, a home show, or garage sales. And I'm just calling to see how you are and and where your search is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like talking with Matt, I mean, the biggest thing is he said like just let them know like, hey, you're updating your files, you're checking in on them, seeing how it
Check
is.
it.
You just want to know where they're at. That's not putting any pressure on the conversation. And it's light and easy. I would definitely call them because if they have moved on and they have bought something else or they're not looking, at least right? Just they're not just sitting there wasting away and you're like, well, maybe they moved on, maybe they haven't. Now at least you have, and I know that the people that I get through my 1200, I'm gonna know whether I should be talking to them, whether they've moved on, like they're not just gonna be in a weird limbo place anymore.
Well, and then there's 3 additional opportunities with anybody who's bought already.
Yeah. What are those three?
Uh, are they planning on building a rental portfolio and looking on, like, since you're not moving, are you planning on building a rental portfolio and
Oh yeah,
putting
we
rentals into
go
your
over that too. Yeah.
portfolio? Number two, do you know anybody else in your world that could use our help and services, right? And if so, the other opportunity, if their whole situation's changed, they're not leaving and they're not moving. Well, based on the last couple of years, a lot of people have built up a ton of equity. Do you have any plans of unlocking your equity to be able to build a rental portfolio for retirement? Because we help people do that as well. So you've got an opportunity. Like, even if whatever they say, there is an opportunity, which is why we practice scripts, not
Mhm.
to sound like a robot, but to be prepared and ready to have something to follow up with and bring more value because you're prepared, right? It's just
Mhm.
simply knowing what they could say and then having a couple options after that.
Yep.
Can I jump in for a second and ask Ramil something?
No, no, Michelle.
No. So Ramil, when you were first on your team, were you given a list of scripts or were you just winging it and kind of learning as you go?
I did have a script, and I used it very loosely. To me, like I couldn't find a point to where like I made the script my own basically. It was very weird for me to try to read off of this, and they wanted me to say it word for word, ask these questions if this comes up. It just wasn't a natural thing to me. I don't know if it would have been if I would have stuck with it, but to me, it made more sense to basically just have points to hit. So I looked at the script. I knew I needed to have an intro. So I tried out a few intros, listened to a lot of videos, um, other speakers, just different things until I found a script that I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to use. This is what works. The next point of the scripts was, how to handle objections. So I did the same thing. I took some of those points and I just made them or found other ones that made sense. And so scripts are great, like I would say, a good starter point. But I would consider what I have is just more like, I don't know, a roadmap. Not necessarily telling you exactly what to say, but I just know that there are points that I want to hit within this conversation. And then let it go from there. Like I said, I have 20-minute conversations all the time because one of my biggest things is building that relationship and going down rabbit holes. So if someone I'm talking to, is into, disc golfing and I disc golf, like we're gonna jump
Oh,
down
you
that
sweet talk, you
Yeah.
sweet talker, you.
we're gonna jump down that rabbit hole and we're gonna talk about disc golf. And at some point we'll bring it back to real estate. But I know that this is a conversation I'm wanting to build that relationship. I want them to get off the phone. And even if someone else calls them, to talk to them, which is very likely, even if they're already talking to someone else, which is very likely, that they're still going to choose me, to do work with.
Heck yeah. We have time for one more question. You blew them away. They're absolutely speechless.
I have one question.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So as you're going through all of the leads, what is the system that you're using to follow back up with them? Like, especially like those people that you don't want to lose contact with, but they're, like you say, all leads are valuable, but they may not be looking to buy, and they may not, they're still leads, but you've got their information. Is there something that you would recommend?
Yeah, so within my CRM, so I'm on Follow Boss right now. Before, which I think this works, I don't think I'm doing it to the best of my abilities, but I just set them up on a drip campaign, right? So something that was going to touch them, once a month, whether it's an email with some value, things like that. I had a newsletter go out at one point, which I'm going to start again. But one of the things I'm working on with Matt is just creating different touch points, whether that is market updates, whether it is just an email saying, hey, how you doing, a text message, different things. So the people that I had that were, say, a year out, I would just set them up on that. Like I said before, I had just a simple email that would go out, every month with just different bits of information on it, just letting them know, hey, I'm still here. How are you doing? And then if I want to take it a step further, once a quarter, I would just reach out. Has anything changed with your timeline? That's an important question, especially for people that are out there, because you can't, even though someone says, I'm a year out, two important questions is, if the perfect house showed up, does that change your timeline at all? And then again, reaching out before that year and saying, hey, is your timeline still the same? Because you don't know what has happened in that time. Those are my two biggest things that I do for those people.
Yes, love it. Right on. All right, guys. If anyone has any additional questions for Ramil, what's the best way for somebody to reach out and connect with you?
Probably on Facebook. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Ramil Cooper. Friends with Michelle, Matt.
Also on Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok. I need to see, there's social media stuff I need to do to make sure my names are all collided. So, but yeah, I'm on there as well. If you guys are on there, you can find me still with my name.
Go ahead, subscribe, follow, smash that like button, hit the bell for notifications.
Absolutely. Good content's coming. I love being on social media, so I make videos and stuff like that. But yeah, anytime. Angela, I don't know if she's still in here or not. But yeah, coffee.
Yeah,
I'm
she
always
had to
open
bounce.
for a conversation. So get a hold of me. You're not gonna bug me at all.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to share with everybody. Thanks everybody for jumping on the call. We'll see you on Monday, 9 o'clock for Mindset Monday. We're gonna kick off the week, get things fired up. All right. Take care, guys. Have an amazing weekend. Go rock. Go change someone's life. Go connect with somebody.
Yeah.
That's your conversation that converts. Later.
See you guys.